Town right now, so I'm filling in for him tonight. The first item on the agenda is the 2018 Red Cross Aquatic Examiner Service Award. And Jack? He ran off?
Yes, we dropped something that
Oh
I
my,
forgot.
okay.
So,
Well, things are going smoothly so far.
All
What's that? Okay, that's fine.
So I'm Jessie, I'm the aquatics specialist, and last week I was able to attend the American Red Cross recognition event that was held in Clyde. During that, the Carroll Rec Center was awarded the Aquatic Examiner Service Award. This award was given to all facilities that participated with the American Red Cross in conducting an in-depth facility tour. They went through our entire aquatic department. It took about 2 days. They videotaped our lifeguards, went through all of our certificates, licensing, all of our documents, and at the end of it, they sat down with Jack, Joel, and myself and went through and gave us some suggestions so that we could better serve the community. So,
And I think what's in front of Jack's
Yep.
is,
this is what we got.
All right, thank you for coming for that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda includes licenses, permits, a new 6-month Class B beer license, includes wine coolers with outdoor sales for Dolly's Bar. New Class E liquor license with carry-out beer, carry-out wine, includes native wine, and Sunday sales at Casey's General Store number 3025. Renewal of Class E liquor license with carry-out beer, carry-out wine, which includes native wine, and Sunday sales at Hy-Vee. We also want to include in this appointments by the council to the Parks, Recreation, and Culture Advisory Board. There's 3 new members for this, and this will be a 3-year term that expires May 31st of 2022. And the 3 persons selected are Matt Hodges, Jeff Aiden, and Brooke Michelson.
Motion to approve the consent agenda. I don't know if it makes any difference, but you did mention approval of minutes, bills, and claims. That's true.
I did not. Okay, well, let's include the approval of bills and claims.
In the minutes.
And the approval of minutes of the April 22nd meeting. Very good. Is there a motion to approve?
There is a second.
A motion and a second?
Dirks,
Yes.
Fleshner,
Yes.
Seaman. Yes. Base.
Yes.
Haley.
Yes.
Cox.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Okay, any oral requests and communications from the audience tonight that are not related to anything that's on the agenda?
I was just wondering if the city had a rental housing ordinance.
Your name?
Nick Schultes.
Nick Schultes. And your question is,
If the city has a rental housing ordinance,
in what regard?
the safety of housing, the property's upkeep,
Yeah.
maintenance.
so in our upcoming fiscal year for budget purposes, the council did include adding an individual to do rental housing inspections for the city of Carroll. So staff is currently working on a rental housing code for the city of Carroll. We expect at this point to possibly in 2 weeks present a draft to the council for consideration. After that, we'll probably hold some meetings with landlords to discuss it before we actually present an ordinance to the council for approval. After that point, we would then seek to hire for a rental housing inspector and then get that program up and going.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, we'll move on to a proclamation. Tonight we have a proclamation related to the National Foster Care Month. Whereas May is National Foster Care Month, and in Iowa there are hundreds of children and youth in foster care being provided with a safe and stable home with the compassion and nurture of a foster family, and whereas there is no task more important than ensuring all Iowa children grow up healthy and safe, and whereas foster, kinship, and adoptive families who open their hearts and homes to children during times of crisis play a vital role in helping families heal and reconnect, thereby launching Iowa youth into successful adulthood. And whereas foster families work hard to ensure children remain in their communities and schools, resulting in a continual need for more foster families in counties across Iowa. And whereas all young people in or leaving foster care deserve to have a permanent, meaningful connection to caring adults who become a supportive and lasting presence in their lives. And whereas the Iowa Department of Human Services and LSI Foster Care and Adoption and numerous individuals and organizations work to increase public awareness of the needs of children in foster care, as well as the dedicated and valuable contributions of foster parents. And now therefore, I, Jerry Fleshner, by virtue of the authority vested in me as the Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Carroll, do hereby proclaim May 2019 as Foster Care Month in Carroll, Iowa, and I urge all Iowans to help children in foster care build their brightest futures.
Are you,
We did, yes.
there is a
Okay, great.
I'm Dawn Lucci from the Family Services in Iowa, and we really appreciate the city of Carroll helping us recognize our foster parents. We currently have 9 foster families in the city or community of Carroll, and approximately 13 in the county of Carroll, and that is still not enough. So we appreciate your time in doing that.
And when someone's interested in getting involved in foster care, where do they go?
They contact Lutheran Services in Iowa, and we do have a website, lsiowa.org/foster. And you just do an inquiry, and we have information sessions offered approximately every other month.
Thank you very much for your time.
Is this a normal number?
Sure.
We have had probably about 5 really valuable, busy foster families retire or turn over into respite homes. So we do need a lot more active families to take sibling groups and teenagers. Yeah, thanks.
Why don't we take a quick photo for the media?
That'd be great. Someone willing to do that for me also? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, moving on to ordinance, we have none this evening. We'll go to resolutions. Our first resolution is the fiscal year 2020 health insurance renewal. And Debbie Dean?
Let me get these to you. I'm not certain where I'm supposed to stand. Well, I don't want to stand right in front of you.
You're fine.
Okay, thank you. So what's being handed out right now is, or hopefully is a form that looks quite familiar to you. We've used it for many years now. And this year, we received a renewal from Wellmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, which was a very, very slight decrease, 0.11% decrease with respect to our health insurance rates. That said, it looks as though, although we haven't finished out the fiscal year this year, it looks as though we will come in approximately 3% below last year when you look at our insured premium that we pay to Wellmark and our partial self-funded claims. And so when you look at this form that you have before you, it shows a projection of approximately just under 15% as our total exposure for the 2019-2020 plan year. But that's not uncommon because whenever we project for the next year, we look at what is the likelihood of a reasonable year, given what do we think our claims will look like. We have been fortunate in that 7 of the last 9 years, we have had slight decreases. And our average over the last 9 years is just less than a 2% average decrease. So it's not to suggest that we will spend quite as much with regard to partial self-funding as you see here. It's just to say that we want to be conservative and continue to do the same type of actuarial analysis when we look at partial self-funding. But this is a situation that you don't have the opportunity to see very often, where you have such stability with health insurance rates and such stability with partial self-funding. So the recommendation would be to remain at Wellmark. As a reminder to you, 2 years ago, is that correct? We raised the deductible that we purchased from Wellmark to take on a little more risk, and that has proved to be very beneficial as well. Any questions?
Do you have an idea how many cities of this size use your plans versus others?
Just, you mean with respect to partial self-funding?
No, I mean respect your company versus any other competitors that you may have.
No.
No idea.
How many cities, counties, because we more or less would put public entities into that bucket, if you will. So it could be counties, it could be cities, it could be school systems. A goodly number, but I can't pull that number out of my head.
I would just say thank you to Debbie for the work. I mean, the number I'd highlight, you said 2% average over the last 9 years. That is frankly unheard of in any scope.
And I can't take credit for that, much as I would like to. I can't take any credit for that. We've just been very fortunate and blessed, frankly. We really have. Because, as you know, I don't know what the next 9 years may look like. But the strategy is sound. And always buying a higher deductible and paying a small portion of the claim expense is better than purchasing a low deductible plan. And so the strategy is sound. And we're preparing by accumulating monies into a fund so that we have the needed resources in future years to pay higher claims. Because it's hard to believe that over a 20-year window, we will run at an average of a negative 1 or 2%. That's just highly unlikely.
With that said, there's a good job being done mitigating losses, and people have remained fairly healthy. Are there any things that we could do, Debbie, to improve things, or where should we look in the future to make improvements?
Those are good questions, and some of the things that you do internally, you have a robust wellness committee. You take wellness pretty seriously here. And so you have people that care about being active, care about lifestyle. And that's something that the wellness committee internally tries to communicate with your population at large. And then secondly, being a good consumer of your health plan. You know, paying attention to, are you taking a generic med versus a name brand? Are you using a primary care physician versus the emergency room? Those types of things help to keep costs down. But we talk a lot about that each year when we do the employee meetings, but you have a very engaged workforce.
Thank you.
Questions? Deb? Thank you very much for your time. Okay, with that said, we'll be looking for a motion entering into a contract with Wellmark effective July 1st, 2019 for health insurance benefits for the Blue Access HMO and Alliance Select PPO plans, and setting the Blue Access COBRA rates at $499.28 per month for a single health insurance plan and $1,097.71 per month for a family health insurance plan, and the Alliance Select COBRA rates at $576.13 per month for a single health insurance plan and $1,387.83 per month for a family health insurance plan.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Any further
Fleishner?
discussion? Okay, go ahead.
Fleshner.
Yes.
Dirks.
Yes.
Base.
Yes.
Seaman.
Yes.
Haley.
Yes.
Cox.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Move on to the contract for professional services, RDG, Carroll Rec Center, Building Improvements, Concept Planning and Feasibility Study 2019. And Mike?
I will start out with just a discussion on the kind of the finance end of it. So as the council is aware, we've been discussing doing improvements at the Carroll Recreation Center since 2006. We did include the project in our previous capital improvement plan with a projected start of construction in the spring of 2021. In discussions with RDG and with the proposal, they have suggested that we could accelerate the construction time schedule for the project and look with construction starting as early as summer of 2020. To understand the impacts to the city's budget and our debt service, we did contact PFM Financial to have them run some debt scenarios, and those were included in the council packet. Option one was previously reviewed by the council back in January, and it does include the rec center construction starting in 2021, and then option B is the new option that we had them run, which moves the construction up to 2020. Based on current interest rates and our debt structure, the scenarios from PFM do show that we can keep our debt service levy overall at the $1.81 is what the council's targeted. Additionally, based on moving the project up, taking risk out of the scenarios, and based on current markets, the scenario B does show a cost savings in interest over the issuance period of $415,000 less in interest payments over the life of the bonds. Finally, I would point out that should the construction timeline move up, we would expect to save money in construction costs just because of inflationary increases. And we project roughly this could save $430,000 in construction costs related to the pool, locker rooms, and east side addition. Now, the steering committee has been meeting, and one of the items they've discussed is adding a raised walking track. The final decision on that hasn't been made, but we have not lowered the construction cost in the projection that PFM has completed, in part just to keep some room for potential add of that raised walking trail. We do expect, based on the discussion that will happen next with Jack, that RDG should finish their overall concept plans and the cost estimate in August, and we'll make a decision before a referendum decision will be made. So with that, we're recommending that the City Council and Mayor review the bonding options provided by PFM and approve a motion moving the estimated construction timeline for the project to July 2020. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions the council has.
I just want to say thank you for considering an alternative. And RDG, among the 5 RFQs we received, they did create different scenarios. So they opened the door for us to think anew about this. And I appreciate the work you did with PFM and recognizing potential savings. I think that's important, especially with a rather large referendum.
A little concerned, not that I don't want it to start early, but my concern is the closure of the pool. We start early, and do you have any, is that too early to ask that yet?
There's gonna be a time frame when the indoor pool is gonna be closed, probably during the time of swim team. We have that in mind, and we know that that's gonna be, you know, some
Have they
concerns,
given you-
but
Have they given you how long they're thinking?
no, we haven't got that far.
That's why it's a little early for that.
Yeah.
That's not a deal breaker moving this forward or not, is it? The construction time?
Well, I mean, it's like Jack indicated, it's early at this point. I mean, we haven't had any discussions about the phasing and
Right.
construction time period. That will come over time, and will frankly probably come more as we work into the construction plan.
So my question
phase.
is if we agree to move this time frame ahead, do we have to consider the time frame when the pool is gonna be closed?
I don't.
Or do we not have to worry about it at this point?
I think at this
For
point, I
that?
couldn't answer if we did spring construction or summer construction.
Right.
I couldn't give you an answer when the pool would be closed in either case today. We're just too.
So that's not a relevant issue at this point?
So one way or another, it will be closed at some point.
But if it's closed in the summertime, they can use the outdoor aquatic center.
Right.
It's closed in the wintertime, you're done. Can't offer anything to those students. And there are a lot of them there.
And at this point, I couldn't tell you if we did a spring construction, it still may be over the winter or fall. I just, we can't answer that.
But my question is, that is not an issue at this point for the,
I don't see much.
Okay.
Something we need to keep in mind.
yes, yeah. But if they were going to tell us, because we're moving it ahead, that it's gonna be, you know, a wintertime closure, then we'd have to discuss it. But if it's not an issue, then we don't discuss it at this point.
Right, but also consider, you know, we're talking a year, pushing back a year, but we're only talking about a 5-month window difference in when we have the referendum.
Right.
We're talking November versus March. So, you know, that's,
But if they're gonna start the construction up 5 months earlier, then it affects it, the pool closure time.
right,
I was just wanting to know if that's,
that's a good point.
I guess my comment on the referendum would be, doing a referendum in March for the rec center, I think is a better time. Just due to the standpoint, most rec centers, their busiest month of the year is February. And if we come off busy February and people are waiting for equipment and such, it may demonstrate to the voters more of a need versus going in November. They may not see that need as critical. So the timing is just a little bit of a concern for me.
my feelings is the savings of $400,000 over that.
Right, but a failed referendum will save you a lot of money. You know, if
I
you
don't
want
know
to
if
set it
that'd
up for the most successful time,
I'm not sure if that's gonna make it pass or fail. I guess that's what we're here to discuss. But it's
Yeah.
like-
and I'm not saying necessarily will, but we've talked this issue several times of the timing of referendums. And I'm thinking for the most success rate, you do it where it's gonna be noticed the most.
It's like when you bid on a new basketball gym right after they win the state tournament. You know, that's the best time.
Yeah.
Now, the proposed new timing puts it November 5 of this year for the referendum.
Yes.
That's concurrent with our general election, if you will, so we don't have the added cost of the special election March 3rd either, correct?
Correct.
And usually a bigger turnout, which you usually have versus can be favorable. And when you look at the start of construction, April 1st, 2021, or July, start of construction, July 2020, there might be a way to handle your concerns, depending on, as Mike said, the phasing. I don't know, Mike, is it just too early, as you said, to worry about it?
And related to the pool, I think it's just too early.
Okay,
I think the savings on the referendum as well as the turnout that you mentioned, Carolyn, are two key
Well,
motivators for me.
and construction costs, and when you think about what may happen to the cost of materials, so,
That's where a lot of the projected savings comes from, correct? There's more certainty in the.
Well, there's
the
two
process moving
components.
forward.
There's the interest cost savings that we can project out, and then there's just
The
projection,
inflationary.
the inflationary.
So there's really three advantages, that, and then saving money on an election, assuming this passes as we want it to.
That's roughly about 10,000, isn't it?
It's not a big amount, but that $415,000 is.
It's more like, it's about 5,000 if I remember right for.
Yeah, for-
It's been about that much, yes, about 5,000 to 6,000.
But I think it's important to the conversation when we promote getting out the vote. I know we can't tell people how to vote, that the council lays out, and we're very transparent about all the ways that we have tried to save the taxpayers' dollars. And certainly that plays into what we end up bonding for, the interest we save, et cetera. So I think cost savings is something that the taxpayer will want to know.
And as we move forward, we'll have to keep our eyes open for more ways to save and make this a better project for the people. And we've had a couple of really good opportunities here. Should move well.
Do we need to accept this report then as a motion?
I would ask just to accept it and to authorize moving forward with the current timeline of
Okay.
July 20.
Okay, so we're going to look for a motion to accept the bonding options provided by PFM and then approve by motion moving the estimated construction timeline for the project to July 2020.
But it's not stating when you're gonna have the bond referendum vote?
No, that'll come down the way.
Okay.
It is stating an intention to move
Yeah.
the direction of November. I so move.
Second?
Right, motion and a second?
Seaman?
Yes.
Schlesner?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Base?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
We'll move on to the fee proposal for the Carroll Rec Center building improvement resolution, and Jack?
Thank you. In our budget, we have 50,000 currently under the general government category. We're gonna need additional 25,000 from, we anticipate general fund reserves. We put together the RFQs, sent out 8 to 8 firms. We received 5 back. Our committee got together, city council approved that committee. We met, discussed all 5 of them. We narrowed it down to, they narrowed it down to 2. And we invited 2 to an April 3rd meeting, and it was both RDG and FEH presented, and the committee voted for RDG Planning Design as their top choice. So we did receive a proposal from RDG. As you can, I won't go over it in great detail unless you want to. Lump sum fee was right around 55,000. That includes their services, market analysis, business operational planning, and other expenses. And Mike Chambers is here with RDG, and I will let him explain more on the statistical accurate community survey and the proposal with, they're working with ETC Interactive for the dashboard data. So that's really the things that they're gonna be working with us on during this project. The schedule, we've kind of talked about that already, kicking it off tonight, and hopefully this will wrap up with a bond referendum vote on November 5th. I guess at this point, I'd answer any questions you have, or I would ask Mike to, he has a little presentation, and we can answer any questions, or see where you wanna go from there. Sound good?
You want to go ahead and do your presentation first then, Mike?
I sure can.
Okay.
Thank you, Jack, council. I'm Mike Chambers, senior partner with RDG Planning and Design. We've been tasked with analyzing your current site, current rec center, for additions to aquatics, addition of gym space, and improvements to locker rooms. And as well as providing referendum support for the city, right? So, let's see if this is gonna work for me. Hopefully it will. There we go. So who is RDG Planning and Design? We're a regional firm practicing on a national basis. Our main offices are in Des Moines and Omaha. We've got another large office in St. Louis and a few satellite offices around.
Great. Can you hit a light? It's hard to see.
Sorry.
No.
But,
There.
whoops, okay. So we're multidisciplinary. We've got engineers, architects, landscape architects, civil engineers, so forth. Over 40 years of experience, and we've won 50+ national awards for sports and rec facilities. This is just a list of some of our projects. Some that I may point out that you may be familiar with is Iowa State University Lead Rec Center, State Gym. Des Moines Area Community College Trail Point Rec Center is a fairly recent one. We had a couple folks, Mike and Laverne, came and toured with us the other day, as well as some University of Nebraska work, and most recently University of Minnesota's Athletic Success Center. So our team, we've got Al Oberlander as our principal in charge. Brad Rodenberg would be our project architect and project manager. Kathy Newman, interiors. Nate Byro is a landscape architect, would help with site evaluation and site design. I would be the lead engineer. I'm an electrical engineer, and then I would have a mechanical engineer and lighting design under my expertise and my direction. We are partnering with JEO Consulting. I believe the city has worked with them quite frequently. Water's Edge Aquatic Design, Dave Swartz. We've worked with him on over 20 projects. And KPFF for structural engineering, we've done over 100 projects with them. They used to be Charles Saul Engineering, if anybody was familiar with them. Some of our projects, this is Moore, Oklahoma Community Center, gymnasium, elevated track, and some outdoor aquatics, as well as cardio and weights. Trail Point at DMAC is aquatics. It has cardio, 25-meter 8-lane pool, as well as a warm water rec pool with some lap lanes in there, and I believe that's one of the desires for the aquatics edition here, is to have some warm water laps as well as some zero entry youth warm water recreation, as well as a spray pad. And also at DMAC, we did an elevated track that circulated through an existing gym as well as the new gym. Ames Healthy Life Center was a study of a potential facility there with multiple partners. That also included aquatics. So, let me back up. Where am I? Well, so for your facility, we're going to do a market analysis. We have Ballard King and Associates as our partner for that, and they do business analysis as well as operational analysis and planning. They use historical data on a national level to determine what rates work for you as far as membership rates and so forth, what you can charge. They talk about what's nearby for the same types of services and how far out you can go before that starts affecting your operations and your attendance. ETC, Jack mentioned ETC. These are the folks that will be heavily involved with your surveying your community, right? So they have a number of different options in our proposal for surveying your folks. There's a 10-minute survey, 15-minute survey, 20-minute survey that they can design. There's different price levels for each, and I think you've got a limit on cost for that you want to negotiate with them on and see what we can maximize of their services. So they will get involved right away at our first meeting, and then develop that survey and be able to tell you at the end of the process what your likelihood of passing a referendum is, what the debt ceiling is for your folks, right? So they'll want to know, what are my taxes going to go up, and what's that tolerance of for the general community, and then they'll make recommendations as far as what should be on your referendum, right, and what your likelihood of passing that is. And I believe the dashboard it's recommended that we don't do the dashboard, yeah. So, and that's just it's an interactive tool that the city could use to get real-time information. So we'll talk a little bit about schedule. Obviously, we're here in May, it's city council meeting. We'll have our kickoff meeting later this month or early June. We would gather options and input from the community in June, finalize our concepts in July, and then have our final report and exhibits to you in August. So then we would also have our market analysis and our survey done at that time, but they would be in process the whole time. So then you would have from that's July or August to your referendum time to promote your project, and we would have supporting information for you, concept graphics and so forth for you to use for that promotion. And then upon passing that referendum, if we go to referendum in November, and if that's successful, then we could have your construction documents complete by May in order to bid that for start of construction in July of 2020. Okay. Questions? Okay. Thank you.
What was the cost of ETC? I got like between $4,000 and $5,000.
We're gonna try to be in the mid-range of that.
He's talking about ETC, yes. And we're not recommending that option.
Correct. I think when Mike and I were talking, the statistically accurate community survey, they have 10 to 26,000, we're looking around the $20,000, trying to be in that.
Yeah, so that's basically, you pick the length of the survey, the number of surveys, they can massage that to fit your budget.
And what's that gonna tell us when we're done?
Likelihood of passing your referendum and what should be included in that, in
Current
the
plans or
facility.
different plans?
What's that?
With current plans or option plans?
I don't know.
Are they gonna determine what we're gonna bring forward to the public for the referendum on?
It would help inform our design for sure, as far as what should be included in that plan.
I think I'm kind of on the track of Muhleberg. We've developed some ideas already thus far, so are we fleshing those out, or are we taking a different direction? What are we really doing?
Go ahead,
They're familiar with the current plans that we have in place. In our committee previous before that Carroll was on, Miskey was on before, we hashed out a lot of those details that we wanted to see in this plan, and that's being brought forward into this plan. So some of the things that we worked on with Mike touch base from 2006, 2007, is all, been included in what we're looking at.
I think part of it is also a little bit of an eye to, we have the basis of what we want in it, but I think one of the discussions that at least appealed to me during the discussion RDG had was maybe realigning some of the spaces so that exterior walls, for example, one of the gyms, we have 3 new exterior walls going in. Well, if we realigned it, put it in a different location, now we only have 2 exterior walls, well, that's a huge cost savings for the project. And so I do think while we have a basis of a concept plan, realistically, we may come out with a whole different plan moving forward. And I think that's part of, we'd had it done with FEH or RDG, really flush out what's the concept plan that we're gonna present to the voters, because we really haven't done that. We haven't done a cohesive, single concept plan. That's what this step does.
So it's safe to say, basically, they're not gonna take our plan, they're gonna take our desires, our goals, and try and maximize, or to achieve those goals.
And trying to hit costs too.
Yes.
So they'll be working with you guys on the design on this compared to what they get for a study back from the public?
Correct. That will help inform our design and what you guys ultimately want in your plan. So ETC, the results they get back from their survey of your community members may tell you that there's a desire to do something else rather than what you've got shown right now, or do something additional. You know what I mean? So,
I think that's the name of the company, so we're getting confused. But one comment too, and we've talked with RDG about this. We also we had planned to do a community survey this year. It was budgeted for. So we're taking those dollars and putting it towards this project. So one of the things we'll do, we did a community survey back in 2014. We're gonna ask a lot of those questions, and they're really kind of city service driven. And so it will help us, give us a benchmark of how we're delivering services even outside the rec center. So this survey isn't just a rec center survey.
Well, I think it's really good to engage the community. I mean, if we're asking them to vote and pay for this, they need to know that we value their opinion and inform the decisions. I know what impressed me with RDG is when they put together their approach, that it was such a business-like approach that they wanted to look at, okay, our key goal is creating income. How do we get people through the door? How do we attract people from outside of Carroll? And then consider flexibility of space, operating costs, et cetera. So I think, you know, we don't want to make a mistake and include amenities that maybe this survey would inform us, you know, and I think, Laverne, you're the one that brought up, you were hearing about the running track. I started hearing a little bit, you more. And I think that would help inform us, are we on the right track, so to speak. But anyway, I think it will help more than it will harm us, you know, spending this money.
Well, you're working, Mike, with JEO, is any expense that would be your expense?
that would fall underneath our expense. Now, as far as the initial study goes, their involvement would be minimal. We're looking at more high-level conceptual spaces and costs for your referendum. When that goes into construction documents, design development, construction documents, that's when they would be fully engaged.
So that's something they offer that you would need to tap them for, that you don't do yourself, you don't get that from.
Correct, yeah. And that would be, I think we have in that proposal, there's 6.7% of construction for that next piece that they would be included in as part of that.
On the schedule here, it doesn't have when you're gonna do this survey.
The survey starts, I'm sorry, I backed up. Survey starts right away in that, it starts in the initial, putting that together starts in that initial kickoff meeting.
Okay.
So they'll develop it,
Couple weeks.
then they'll administer it. So it's I think it's a 3-month process for the whole thing.
I'd say it's probably 3 days to design, 30 days to administer.
Okay. I just wanna make sure we're spending money that we need to spend here.
So about the end of June-ish,
To complete the survey,
that'll be going out.
to have it, I think you'll want results back by then, yeah.
Will that be electronic?
They have a number of different ways that they can administer that. They can do phone survey, they can do web-based survey, and they can mail out the survey as well. So there's, all those options, I believe, are gonna be available to you. If you put a link on your city website to say, take this survey. But they're also gonna follow up, they're gonna identify so many participants. They're gonna send this out, and they're gonna follow up until they reply, right? So.
Question? Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll be looking for a motion here with our, to enter in an agreement with RDG Planning and Design for approval of a proposed fee for the Carroll Rec Center building improvements for the lump sum fee of $55,000 and up to $20,000 for the statistically accurate community survey.
So moved.
Second. Cots?
Yes.
Base?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Fleischner?
Yes.
Motion's approved.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the fiscal year 2020 city manager annual salary. And we did do a performance review with the city manager. His employment contract required a performance review in April of 2019. On April 22nd, 2019, the city council completed a performance review of city manager Michael Pogge Weaver. Mr. Pogge Weaver received an excellent performance evaluation from the council. The terms of the revised employment contract dated May 18th, 2017 specifies that upon a satisfactory performance evaluation in April 2019, the employer agrees to increase the employee annual base salary to 100% top of salary on July 1st, 2019. Following the terms of the approved revised employment contract, the annual salary for Mr. Pogge Weaver would be 100% top of salary starting July 1st, 2019. Any discussion from the council? With no discussion, we'll look for a motion to approve the resolution approving the annual salary for city manager Michael Pogge Weaver at 100% top of salary as of July 1st, 2019.
So moved. Second.
Third.
Base?
Yes.
Fleischner?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Cots?
Yes.
Seaman? Yes. Dirks?
Yes.
Motion's approved.
Okay, moving on, we'll go to the fiscal year 2019 to 20 salary resolution. And Laura.
Thank you, Jerry. Before you tonight is a listing of our salary resolution that we present every year. The top of pay and the ranges have been adjusted according to union contracts, which have been recently approved. Well, the police, we're in the second year, or we'll be starting the second year of July 1. But both of, or all the positions were adjusted 3% as negotiated by those union contracts. And then, it also adjusted for the non-represented employees at the 3%. We also included here a listing of our part-time employees, and the ranges were adjusted as necessary. We felt necessary in order to hire and retain our part-time workers. Are there any questions on the positions?
No questions. All right, if there's no questions, we'll look for a motion approval of the resolution setting top of pay ranges or ranges of pay for city employees beginning July 1st, 2019 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Base?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Fleischner?
Yes.
Cots?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
We're scheduled now for a 2019 Carroll Trails Plan open public hearing. Jack, you're ready to go?
Yes.
Okay, we'd like to open up only at 6:06 PM. We'd like to open the public hearing. And Jack.
Thank you. This is a continuation of the trails plan that started back in around 2007, 2008. We finished phase 1. There's one little piece yet by the railroad that we're waiting for the railroad to do their work, and then we can finish that project. Hopes end of May was what I was told, so hopefully we'll get that accomplished, and that will close out phase 1. So this goes into phase 2. Current budget, this came from Laura last week, $1,043,391 available from debt proceeds, local option sales tax, and hotel motel tax. The plans detail 7,700 linear feet of 6-inch concrete trail. Specifications further detail the construction plan improvements, and I do have the plans and all the documentation that's going to be going out probably tomorrow if it's approved. The former contract is a little bit different. Normally you see the AIA contract. This is the EJCDC. Talked with Randy, it is very similar, and he has seen these types of forms before, so I think we are fine with that form. Opinion of cost for the project, $856,765. That does include an alternate bid where the trail around the baseball fields on the very north part, it will have a small trail to bring them back to the restrooms in between the fields if so desired. I think we do that as that would be an alternate, so you'll see the price, and then we can make a determination at that point if we wanted to continue with that, but might be a nice spot if people would start somewhere as we go on through this trail system. They're probably going to need a location for restrooms, and that might be one of the best locations. So, and obviously we've been working with Shad Hattery on this plan before. They do great work, very happy with their performance. So that's what we had recommended this time. So I would recommend the mayor, city council consideration, conduction, the required public hearing and passage and approval of the resolution adopting the plan specifications, former contract, opinion, cost for the Carroll Trails plan. We look to have bid opening in about 4 to 6 weeks, typical time frame that we have for bid openings. We'll bring those back to you for approval. Bid opening June 4th.
Do we have any comments from the public today regarding this matter?
I've heard nothing but great things about the first trail. I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of use. I've mentioned several times, *1 activity, biking, walking, running. So we're increasing those desires of the people out there.
But keep watching for that railroad portion to get completed. Jack, thanks for the update on that.
Yeah, Mike and I have been trying to get with them. Finally had a phone call last week with them. They're over in the Waterloo, Mason City area, and we're the next on the list, is what I was told. So, and really their portion is over the railroads. That's all we need is them to complete that, and then we'll do the connecting parts again. But we really have to have them put that in first before we do that.
When did we sign the contract with UP?
2 years ago. And we've had to ask for extension with our REAP grant. When I talked to them, I said our last portion is with the railroad, and they understood.
They had to divert, I know a guy who's, one of their engineers lives near Carroll, they've had to divert a lot of their crew that's usually in this area out to the area where there are floods.
Oh,
And they couldn't even drive there, they had to use planes, UP airplanes to fly them in where the town, yeah.
Sure.
And so I think that might be a little bit of their scheduling,
sure.
and quite a logistics mess.
But again, if you want me to review, the existing trail ends at Veterans Park. This will go across the street, onto the golf course, up on the berm, close to the green but far enough back, and then straight north past the entrance and exit of the high school. And then the second trail was one that people have been talking about, mentioning to me over the last several years. basically be a loop around the baseball fields and soccer fields. Have had conversations with former superintendents, all were on board, thought it was a good project. I've talked with school board members, they've asked me to get this plan to their maintenance staff, and I have. They had a couple suggestions that we gave to Shive Hattery that they made a few little altercation or changes to, really about flooding or water, moving the water away into certain areas, and that's what we're trying to accomplish with the school. So there's been many discussions with the school, so we're well aware of everything.
Hey Jack, remind me again, the portion that parallels the golf course, I think it's hole number 12 along there.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yes.
How are we gonna mitigate anybody getting hit by golf balls by that hole?
Awareness of the runner, biker, and the golfer, just knowing, there's people there. I don't think the golfer's gonna stop. Their tee, basically it's gonna be the tee shot, and if it's a left-handed person, especially if they slice it, they're just gonna be paying attention. Similar to down at Rolling Hills Park, by the trail, we have the disc golf. And there's, probably a few more golf balls being hit than discs being thrown, but, you'll probably see a lot of people running, walking, early morning, later in the evenings. Some of the golf, Thursday nights, men's league, Tuesday night, women's league, those are real busy nights, Friday night. But weekends,
And the old portion of the trail will stay there, right? We're not tearing that out?
that's not in this project. That might be a discussion when Randy does a street project there. He could probably give you more information on what should be done.
So in the meantime, if somebody opted to stay there, if they're concerned, they could stay on the old piece?
Randy, it's gonna be, it's gonna be there, yes. But I don't know if they'll have any access, necessarily to it. Randy, I don't know if there's any more.
There's any planned access?
Yeah.
But they're adjacent.
If they're decent, yeah.
All right, 6:14 PM. If there's no more comments from the public or anyone, we'll close the public hearing. We'll need a motion then to approve the resolution adopting the plan specifications, form of contract, and opinion of cost for the 2019 Carroll Trails Plan.
So moved.
Second.
Cots,
Yes.
Jerks,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Fleischner,
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
Base.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
All right, moving on to reports. We have a report on the custom fire apparatus, a report of bid opening, and Greg.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. On April 11, 2019, the City of Carroll Fire Department solicited bids for a new 2020 custom fire apparatus. A complete list of apparatus specifications requesting sealed bid was distributed to the following dealers, manufacturers. These were dealers that I was familiar with, these four. It was Clary Safety Equipment of Rochester, Minnesota, Ed Emfeld Equipment Company of Carroll, Reliant Fire Apparatus, Inc. of Slinger, Wisconsin, and Toyne, Inc. of Breda. The bid deadline of 2 p.m. on May 7th, 2019 was set for the bid opening. And on that date and time the bids were opened, we received 2 bids from our local companies here, Ed Emfeld Equipment and Toyne, Inc. of Breda. The bids were reviewed for compliance with specifications and the totals verified. Following that review, it was determined that the bid submitted by Toyne, Inc. meets all of the required specifications at a bid price of $434,166.37. And that would be utilizing the following payment process. Now, there was a little incentive to make payment for the chassis when it is received at Toyne's. And so within 15 days of that chassis being delivered to Toyne, we would pay $231,166.37. And then the balance of $203,000 would be due upon completion and acceptance of the vehicle. Now, I would also add that this truck purchase has been part of the capital improvements plan and is included in the fiscal year 20 budget. The bid price from Twine's of $434,166.37 is below the budgeted amount of $450,000, and financing for this purchase will be through debt service. And the expected delivery time from the time we sign the contract is approximately 385 days. And I would also add that through this purchase, we will be phasing out a 1983 GMC Towing fire truck. And the method of sale of this vehicle, I'll be visiting with Mike, whether we go sealed bids or maybe out at the machinery auction or something like that. But we'll be discussing that and get back to you here in the near future. So with that information, it'd be my recommendation for the mayor and council to consider and approve the purchase of a 2020 custom fire apparatus from Towing Inc. of Breda at their bid price of $434,166.37. And Dale Durner is here with Towing Manufacturing if there's any questions.
When does the vehicle get titled to the city?
When will it? That's when we accept it. It's a,
Accept delivery.
yeah.
Correct.
The final?
Yep.
Mhm. And again, you know, the life on these trucks is, you know, this will be a stainless steel body and plastic tank, and it'll run for, you know, 30+ years. And the old 83 did a pretty good job, but it's time for it to move on, so.
You've clarified the heck out of this just one more time for the heck of it, $434,166.37, correct?
Yes.
Not the $343.
Yeah, oh, this was a corrected memo, maybe you didn't get that, Clay, but I had to run from a corrected memo, I had to report a few numbers in error, so,
Right there.
yeah. So I apologize for that inconvenience too,
It's all,
yeah,
just double check.
right. Good you knew that.
I was the one that had a heart attack on that one.
Yeah, I shaved about 100 off their bid price, and Dale was a little nervous about that, so.
I would have too.
I was reading it on the city website, and I was like,
So we shook him up a little bit, but we do have things straightened out now, so.
Gotta keep the cardiologist in business too.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Dale, for this? All right. And Craig, nothing else?
No.
Glad to go look at it.
All right, we'll look for a motion to approve the purchase of a 2020 custom fire apparatus from Towing Incorporated, Reed, Iowa, at their bid price of $434,166.37.
Second.
Seaman?
Yes.
Base?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Cots?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
thank you.
Thanks.
Next report is considering a motion to approve an interlocal agreement for cooperative purchasing with Region 8 Education Service Center and the Interlocal Purchasing System TIPS program. And Mike.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As we are in the midst of the library project, one of the items that we are working on is library shelving. And through discussions with OPN Architects, they have suggested the city consider purchasing the library shelving itself through a contract with the TIPS program. As you can imagine, library shelving is somewhat of a specialized area. Not a lot of libraries out there, at least I don't have one in my own home. And so in part, it is difficult to obtain competitive bids on specialized equipment like that. And that's really where TIPS consists. TIPS is this cooperative purchasing program through the Region 8 Education Service Center in Texas. All the products that are offered through the TIPS program have been awarded through a competitive bid process. And really the TIPS program, one of the nice things is they offer the opportunity for governmental units outside of Texas to participate at no cost in the program. While participation in the TIPS is not specifically listed in our purchasing policy here at the city, is very similar to the Department of Administrative Services, State of Iowa state contract process, which does allow the city, or we are allowed in our purchasing policy to purchase through the DAS contract. Now, our purchasing policy does state that if we are purchasing under the state contract, that we should seek, or attempt to seek at least one local bid for that work. In this case, the city has not been able to locate a vendor within the city of Carroll that would sell this type of library shelving that we're seeking. So ultimately, if the city uses the TIPS program to purchase the library shelving, the vendor that holds the TIPS contract is Library Furniture International, or LFI. Now, LFI has recently purchased Jones Library Services in Carroll, which the city has used in the past for library services, and they have kept an Iowa presence. LFI has kept an Iowa presence. In fact, Jones Library Services themselves have moved the library last fall to a temporary location. We are continuing to work with, I should say more, Rachel's continuing to work with LFI and OPM to design the library furniture, or excuse me, the library shelving systems that we're looking at. Right now, using TIPS pricing, that is currently looking to be $147,191 for the shelving. But once final design is completed, we'll receive final pricing and then we present it to the council for final approval at that point. It should be noted that all of the library furniture, tables, desks, chairs, whatnot, we will actually take that to a competitive bid process. And we know local vendors are interested in that, and they'll have an opportunity through that process to bid. So the recommendation from staff is for the Mayor Pro Tem and Council to consider approval of the attached resolution with the interlocal government agreement with Region 8 Educational Service Center, and consider waiving purchasing policy 501 in order to use the TIPS program for the purchase of library shelving from Library Furniture International. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Rachel, does this shelving have any special features that are not in older shelving, I mean, new?
Well, compared to what we currently have, it's a different style shelving that they're proposing. It's called cantilever shelving, and it's seen a lot of libraries, and it's kind of versatile, I guess, in regards to what kind of shelving you can put in there. But with this proposed shelving, we'll have different units that we can interchange to put display shelving out, so you can put face-out shelving, put books face out and other materials. So that's what we're kind of going for with this shelving.
So understanding this kind of specialty shelving, is this quote unquote off their stock type stuff, or is this all customized for us?
Yeah, so we actually met with them and they came and they brought different types of shelving for us to look at. And we talked about what we wanted, what we didn't like, things like that. And so in their plans, they have gave us a quote for what we wanted and how much shelving we need. So they were really great to work with.
Is it trustees that are in this with that decision, or who's in this decision?
The trustees, the other library staff were present in helping make those decisions. The trustees weren't heavily involved, but they are aware that we met with them and we discussed the type of shelving with them as well. So they're sort of involved.
So did you ask them for this type of shelving, or did they recommend it to us?
The architects had recommended to us, but I know a lot of other libraries that use cantilever style shelving, and a lot of other libraries I know that use LFI too, really like their shelving.
Is it somewhat modular that if we change the floor plan at some point, it's interchangeable that way? Or?
Are you talking about like just moving it around? Oh yeah, definitely. So the nice thing is, like, if we increase our collection size, we can take out our face-up shelving and put in a different type of shelving to accommodate more. And it's definitely something that could be changed around if we choose to.
Have they been there for a long time where they should hopefully be there for a long time to come, and we can get similar style shelving back in? And
yes, that's one thing we
continuity.
discussed. Yep, that's one of the things that we discussed, how they have a longevity in this business, and how they're always willing to go back to previous libraries that they've worked on and help them with new shelving or whatever they need with their shelving.
And I think also to your point, our current shelving we have, like in the adult nonfiction, fiction section, that is actually a modified cantilever system. So it's a little bit different style that we're looking to go to. Now, we're considering reusing some shelving in certain areas of the library. Our shelves and the new shelves actually interchange with the system we have today. So I think longevity of the style of system, I mean, we've had the current system, I believe, for 40 years. So it has a good track record as a product.
So entering into this agreement doesn't really preclude us from only, their estimate of 147. If we did find that something we already have could be used, we don't have to purchase all that at this time.
It could go down, and this is not a purchase at this point. And one of the things I should point out, and why we're bringing this forward at this point, we have a lot more work to do with LFI and the design of the shelving, but if the council wants us to go through a competitive bid process, we have to start taking a different track now. If we decide 2 months from now when we bring the final design and cost from LFI that we want to do a competitive bid process, we will substantially delay the opening of the library because that takes time, and then the ordering process to get the delivery, it takes 4 months to get this library showing delivered to us. So I mean, part of this being presented tonight, and I should have said that, is we need a decision that this is an acceptable method. Now, if we decide later, they come back and it's $400,000 or some crazy number, we'll have to rethink and replan. But at this point, this proposal and cost estimate fits within the library's budget at this point, and that's why we're recommending. But since it's a waiver, we wanted to get it before the council as early as possible.
Well, we have some experience at the city with utilizing cooperative purchasing agreements, and we've seen some good successes with that. The street sweeper, to me, seems like it was a similar arrangement. And I know from working with some of them that the companies that bid to those buying groups, cooperatives from municipalities, are extremely competitive. They do work hard to get those contracts and usually deliver not only good service, but exceptional value too.
So any potential, someone's actually spoken pretty well directly with local businesses that, when we know they can't, for them, they understand that. Regarding the shelving we already have, I do think with this project, we do kind of owe it to the public to explore any possibilities of using the shelving we already have. That's my opinion. And you're the expert, you're there all every day, I'm not, but boy, if there's areas to use something, and I know from my own business, shelving is expensive when you buy it new, and it doesn't really wear out that fast. I understand this has some special features that maybe we don't have now, but boy, if there's areas, I'd sure like you to consider any possibilities, of using what we have, and maybe you already have gone through that and everything.
Yeah, we've definitely discussed reusing our current shelving on the second floor, and we know even with their shelving that they brought, we put it in there just to see if it would actually fit, so we can kind of outfit it with the display out shelving like we discussed. Overall, what we really want to do, especially like on the main floor, especially in the kids area too, is bring our height of our shelving is 7 feet tall right now, and to bring it down a little bit for better browsing ability. We're just kind of discussing what areas to reduce shelving in.
I'd echo what you said, Jerry. Reuse everything you can and save every penny you can any way you can, please, Rachel.
Right. Yeah.
That said, I don't have a problem with utilizing this form of buying process.
All right, we're looking for a motion to approve the interlocal agreement with Region 8 Educational Service Center and consider waiving purchasing policy number 501 in order to use the TIPS program for the purchase of the library shelving from Library Furniture International.
So moved.
Second.
Fleshner,
Yes.
Cox,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Dirks,
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
Base.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Okay, we'll move on to the Carroll Public Library and Carroll City Hall audio-visual package, and Mike.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. On May 7th, the council, or the city received bids for the Carroll Public Library, Carroll City Hall audio-visual project. And we received, opened and tabulated those bids. We received 4 bids. The range was a low of $197,350 to a high of $250,000. All the bids were reviewed for compliance with specifications and totals verified. Following review, it was determined that the bid submitted by Communication Innovators met all the required specifications at a total bid price of $197,350. Now, the engineer's cost estimate on the project was $180,381. We did review this with the project engineer, and that can occur. One of the issues, they always have a difficult area of bidding on, especially with the equipment that's in the council chambers, is kind of programming. And so they sometimes do miss those bids in that regard. So the audio-visual portion of the project was included in the miscellaneous line item of the project budget for the overall public library City Hall project. That budget line item is $391,055.04. To date, the city has expended $31,388.78. So we do expect that the overall miscellaneous portion of the project budget will remain under budget. I would expect, talking with OPM, that we would expect to spend about $30,000 to $50,000 more out of that line item, mainly in signage that's required, architectural signage for the 2 buildings. So staff recommends that the Mayor Pro Tem and Council consider and approve bids for the Carroll Public Library, Carroll City Hall audio-visual package from Communication Innovators at their bid price of $197,350. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Just looking at these numbers, you got about 170,000 left off your budget amount of 391.
Quite a difference in bid there.
It is a spread.
Yeah.
It's kind of surprising, but the 2 low bids were somewhat together.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, we'll look for approval of bids for the Carroll Public Library and Carroll City Hall audio-visual package from Communication Innovators at their bid price of $197,350.
Cox,
Yes.
Base,
Yes.
Fleshner,
Yes.
Haley,
Yes.
Dirks,
Yes.
Seaman.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Okay, we'll move on to considering approving an invitation to developers for property at 224 North Main Street. And Mike.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. With the upcoming purchase of the property at 224 North Main Street, or what is City Hotel, the staff has prepared the included invitation to developers for this property. This is really kind of a first opportunity to see what kind of interest is out there in the community to purchase this property from the city. At this point, the city is offering it as an as-is condition, and if we do receive a acceptable offer, the property, our plan would be to transfer it via a real estate contract of sale to the developer when the city takes possession of the property on or after July 31st, 2019. Now, the invitation for developer includes several terms and conditions. This includes beginning work to demolish the building within 3 months of the date of the real estate contract, and completing that work within 6 months. And then additionally, if work on the future use is not started within 3 months after demolition, then the developer will be required to disconnect existing utilities and to bring the site back to kind of a grass condition just for erosion purposes. Written proposals would be accepted by the city until 2 p.m. on July 1st, 2019, and if any are received by then, they would be presented to the council on July 8th, 2019 for consideration. With that, we request the Mayor Pro Tem Council to approve by motion the proposed invitation for developers as presented. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions the council has.
I just wonder if it's when we transfer ownership, is that just like by a quitclaim deed, or is this, how is that done? Or-
Yeah, so initially it'd be by a real estate contract. And the reason we're doing that really is City Attorney Bruner suggested, if they would default under the terms and we can't get them to complete the project, the city can just cancel the contract. But once they demolish the project, then we would do it by, I would guess warranty deed at that point.
I think so, yeah.
We're receiving a by warranty deed from
Right.
Mr. Daniels.
Okay, so when would the abstract be continued?
Well, we'll have that done before we take title
Okay.
in July, so we'll have an updated abstract at that point, which will probably just pass on to a prospective bidder, or the successful bidder, I should say.
I might pay $2 and donate it to you.
Oh, do me a favor.
Be underneath the $3 limit.
Is there any further discussion? Oh, I could look for a motion to approve the proposed invitation to developers as presented by Mike.
So, second.
Seaman?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Katz?
Yes.
Base?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
All right, Laura, was that last one random?
Yeah, I went right around the room.
Yes?
It's the first pattern I've caught you on.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to